America's political prisoners need our help.
CramerSez is on a mission to raise $100,000 or more.
Can you help? Join our mission today
at CramerSez.shop.
CramerSez is everywhere.
Twitter, Truth,
Instagram, and always on America's fastest growing free speech platform.
CramerSez Social.
Make your free account today
at CramerSez.com.
CramerSez.com.
There we go. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. We are live. Thanks for showing up. The reason we're kind of doing this a little bit early tonight, I usually do about 9 o'clock, but I wanted to go on early because I've got some things I got to do tomorrow, so please, thanks for understanding. Let's talk about the Kari Lake scandal. She's not in a scandal, but Jeff DeWitt, the former Arizona GOP chair, is, and what we witnessed over the last couple of days is a crime, folks. What we just saw was a crime. What we noticed is that there's a crime, and what the crime is that a bribe took place and it was captured. I'm going to read you the content from or the letter that was released by the Arizona Republican Party in response to this. They've renamed everybody here, but I think it's interesting that what Jeff DeWitt had to say here. How he tried to protect himself as being the one who was doing the right thing. And we all know for sure that that isn't the case, because what we witnessed is we witnessed a bribe take place. Sorry about that. I was a little distracted there. If you heard the entire audio, we'll be playing some of it here. But before we do, I want to go back in and I want to read what Jeff DeWitt had to say. And we've got comments, and I'll play some of this. Let's actually play the first one here. Let's go to the first. See if I can go over here to the first one, if I can get the right one. There we go. Okay, so let's play the very first piece, because I think this is important. You've got to listen to what he says at the very beginning. He's going to try and say that he's innocent, that this wasn't a bribe, that it's a misunderstanding. It's not. It's a bribe, because you don't start a conversation that isn't illegal out with, hey, don't tell anybody about this.
There are very powerful people who want to keep you out.
I know they do.
But they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
There we go. There's the bribe.
So, this conversation never happened.
This conversation never happened. Isn't that how you keep all your conversations with your bosses and with the people around you? You come in and go, hey, listen, we can't talk about this, but I'm going to tell you something. That's what happened. If it's honest, you don't need to keep it quiet. If it's honest, you don't need to keep your mouth shut. If it's honest, you don't need not to tell anybody. This is the letter dated today. Statement from Chairman Jeff DeWitt, Phoenix, Arizona. In light of the recent, this is his voice, by the way, in light of the recent revelation that Kari Lake has released a selectively edited audio recording. Listen to that. Selectively edited. Yeah, she only included the parts where you're trying to bribe her. That's how selective it was. We can hear with our own ears. You can try and spin this. You can try and politicize it. But at the end of the day, Jeff, you bribed her. You attempted to bribe Kari Lake. That's what your job was. That's what you were sent there to do by the folks back east. We're not stupid. We're not morons. We didn't just get to the country 6 days ago. We didn't fall off a turnip truck. No, we fully understand what's happening here. This is political bribery, and that's what you did, Jeff DeWitt. Now, he's going to try and spin this to make himself look good, but there's no way of making yourself look good after you see this. I must clearly address this deceptive tactic. The recording from over 10 months ago. I tried to bribe her over 10 months ago. This is all water under the bridge, folks. Is not only taken out of context. Okay, I'm going to tear this apart, by the way, because I think this is funny. Explain to me the context where you're trying to bribe somebody, say that there's money on the table, you can have whatever you want, and you can't tell anybody. Because it'll stop us from being able to do this in the future. That's what he's saying. We won't be able to get things done in the future, if we can't bribe people. And please don't record this and don't tell anybody. 3 different occasions in this tape, he says, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody what's going on. Don't tell anybody what I'm telling you. Don't tell anybody what you're being asked to do. Don't tell anybody about the money. Don't tell anybody. That's what we hear time and time again in this. The letter continues, but also undermines, the recording from over 10 months ago is not only taken out of context. Again, what context is a bribe fine to do? At what point does that happen? At what, a bribe is a bribe. I don't need context to understand the bribe. If you do this for us, we'll give you whatever you want, Kari. That's the bribe. There's no context, Jeff. It's taken out of context, but also undermines the integrity of private discussions critical for party leadership. By the way, I'm going to translate some of this as we're doing this. So what Jeff is saying here is that, hey, if people continue to record and release copies of our conversations about doing illegal shit, people won't do that anymore. They won't talk about that kind of shit. Ever. They won't even bring it up if we keep recording them and releasing them. How can we bribe people if it's going to be recorded and released? That's what Jeff DeWitt is saying here. As chairman, my primary duty is to strengthen our party, which often involves challenging dialogues and strategic decisions. Now, a challenging dialogue is when you got to fire somebody or when you got to call somebody in and say, hey, listen, we know you got caught with your pants down with that little boy or that little girl with the dead woman, whatever the case is, that's a challenging conversation. You're going to have to resign from the party. That's a challenging conversation. Bribing someone is a crime. It's not a challenging conversation. These conversations are meant to assess and enhance the viability of our candidate. Really, Kari Lake, you need to study the viability of Kari Lake. Really. She's America's sweetheart. Everybody loves her except for the left and Katie Hobbs. The truth is, by the way, I wrote this down, I highlighted this. The truth is, when anybody ever says the truth, you want to take a step back because they're probably going to try and pee on you and tell you that it's raining. The truth is, when I took the helm, our party was in disarray, financially unstable, organizationally weak, and lacking momentum. Today, we have made significant improvements in acquiring a new office headquarters, legal victories for election integrity, and historic fundraising achievements. And we're bribing people. He left that part out. What they're saying here, folks, is that Kari Lake can't be trusted to keep her mouth shut. Listen to this next paragraph. This is what cracked me up. Contrary to the notion of me being an enemy of Lake, this conversation was recorded while I was actually employing Lake in my private company. Okay, so he thought he had her captured. He thought that he could do whatever he wanted, say whatever he wanted, and she would just go along because she needed the gig. You see, what the deep state and others don't realize is that those of us who have integrity and our own means, right, or are willing just to say, fuck it, we don't even need to live that well. That's what I did. I had the same exact kind of situation happen with the Republican Party in the state of Indiana. I used to make somewhere in the ballparks of $300,000 to $400,000 a year from the caucus in Indiana. Don't make that anymore. Why? Because I opened my mouth. Now, I wasn't told that the conversation didn't happen, that we couldn't talk about it. No, they just fired me because I opened my mouth about COVID and said that what was happening from the governor's office down was unconstitutional. That's the way these parties work, left and right. This is not unique just to Kari Lake or the Republican Party. Ask Bernie Sanders what they do. Bernie Sanders was the front runner in 2016, and they moved him to the side, just like they're trying to do with Trump. Trying to make us believe that Nikki Haley can run the nation. Folks, if she can't beat Trump, there's no fucking way she can beat Biden. That's what they want you to believe. Going back to DeWitt. I was actually employing Lake in my private company. In fact, for over a year and a half, we had many conversations where I was looking out for her financial interest. I'll bet you were. The ethical breach, this is what he says, the ethical breach in her recording of our conversation, while Lake was my employee, raises serious legal and moral concerns. Oh, you mean that she should have kept her mouth shut while you were bribing her? She shouldn't let America know that you're trying to bribe her. She shouldn't let the officials know that you're trying to bribe her. That's what you're saying. It gets worse, by the way. This act of recording was not just a betrayal of trust, but also a violation of the fiduciary responsibilities of an employee. What? What fiduciary responsibilities does an employee have to an employer? They have none. You're a moron, sir. They have no they have no responsibility to treat you as if you're going to lose everything. That's your responsibility towards the people of Arizona, not the other way around, sir. You don't get fiduciary responsibility. And no employee owes anybody that they work for fiduciary responsibility. You mean she's not supposed to record a criminal act simply because she works for you? Moronic. That's what these people are. Contrary to accusations of bribery, I heard it for myself, folks. You can hear it for yourself as well. My discussions were transparent and intended to offer perspective, not coercion. The perspective was, hey guys, they're going to, Kari, they're going to offer you a lot of money. You can go work anywhere you want. They'll make it happen. You just got to set out for a couple of years. That's what was said. There was no coercion. It's very clear what you said. Our relationship was based on friendship, and the conversation that is now being scrutinized was an open, unguarded exchange between friends in the living room of her house. I genuinely believe I was offering a I genuinely believed that I was offering a helpful perspective to someone I considered a friend. Today, we're calling bribes helpful perspective. That's what it was. A helpful perspective is a bribe. Going on, Lake has a massive megaphone that I cannot compete with. You're the Arizona GOP chair. You don't need a national voice. You've got the voice that you need for the state of Arizona. Don't bribe people, and it won't get recorded, and it won't get released. That's how simple it is. It's not that tough. I am just a business and financial guy that got recruited into this unpaid role. Okay, let me stop you right there, Jeff. Nobody takes an unpaid role that you say later requires the time of 2.5 full-time jobs. Nobody takes that for free. Nobody does that unless it benefits them in some way, shape, or form. Gave you a lot of access. And the question that I have to ask, we're going to play some of this audio, but listen to what Jeff says. Listen to how hard that he sells Kari Lake. He keeps hitting her and hitting her and hitting her. Hey, come on, give me a number. Give me a number. Just give me a number. So the question I have to ask, how much was he making for this unpaid job? You see, that's the perks of the unpaid job. You get a contract here, you get a consulting thing over here, and before you know it, you've made $500,000, $1 million, just for having a conversation with someone. That's how it works in politics. That's what I've been telling you for the last 3 years. I worked at this level, at the state level in Indiana. I've been in these fucking meetings where candidates have been pressured. I've been telling you this shit for the last 3 years. I came outside, paraphrasing what Dave Chappelle says, I was in the party, I came outside, and I told you, hey, this is what's going on. And guess what they did? They didn't let me back in. No, they said, you got to stay out there, motherfucker, because you got a big fucking mouth. Well, Kari Lake does too. She can't be trusted. She's going to be in a conversation, and maybe she'll say something or record something that she shouldn't be recording. Listen, if you don't say anything that's illegal, if you don't commit a crime, if you don't commit bribery, you don't have anything to worry about, Jeff. You can record any conversation that I have. I don't care. Because there's nothing that I'm saying that's illegal. I don't have to worry about it. I didn't bribe anybody. I didn't coerce anybody. I didn't try to get somebody to step down to help my friends politically. I didn't do that. Jeff DeWitt of Arizona did that. I'm just a business and financial guy that got recruited into this unpaid role that demands the amount of time of roughly 2 full-time jobs, nights, weekends, holidays, and more for all the workdays. My motivation for accepting this position was that I wanted to contribute positively, with the primary focus being the betterment of Arizona and our nation through the election of competent individuals. While there is much more that I could express, I must refrain from defending myself as it could potentially undermine this objective. Defend yourself from the bribe? Where you said, give me an amount? Tell me how much it'll take you? And she keeps saying, I think you're trying to buy me off? And you keep saying, no, that's not what it is. But how much do you want? Can't have it both ways, Jeff. Since our conversation where I advised Lake to postpone her campaign, he said he didn't advise. He asked her how much it would take for her to stop. That's what he did. How much will it take you? How much money do we have to give up? Fork over. What kind of position do we have to give you? We'll give you a talking head position. You can go around the nation and you can spout your mouth off for the next 2 years. How much will it take, Kari? That's the bribe. That's not giving advice or having a friendly conversation. It's a bribe, and it's criminal. Since her conversation where I advised Kari Lake to postpone her campaign and aim for the governor's position in 2 years, because she's got such a shot at that. That election was rigged too. Jeff doesn't care. He's going to get money in his pocket. He delivered the message. He's good. Until he wasn't. Until he got caught. That's the situation, folks. They're not upset that Kari Lake recorded him. They're not upset what was said. They're upset that they got caught. So now, when the state police and the investigators from the state of Arizona, get to Jeff DeWitt and start asking him the hard questions, who had you do this? Was it Mitch McConnell? Was it somebody in the DNC? Who was it? Who's so afraid of Kari Lake? And who wants to destroy Donald Trump? Because that's what this is all about. She has been on a mission to destroy me. Since our conversation, listen to this. This is what gets me. This is the narcissism of these people. Since our conversation where I bribed, I'll insert, I bribed Lake to postpone her campaign and aim for the governor's position in 2 years, she has been on a mission to destroy me. Maybe that's because you're a traitor, sir. Maybe that's because you're corrupt. Maybe that's because you're paid and bought for. Maybe that's why she's out to get you. Ever think that that's the case? Maybe, maybe not. It was a suggestion made in good faith. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a bribe. You can call it a bunch of different things, but a rose by any other name is still a fucking rose. Believing it could benefit both her future prospects and the party's overall strategy. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of having Kari Lake step out of a Senate race? How does that benefit the nation and the party? Tell me how that benefits it. Because she'll remove somebody or replace somebody that is already bought and paid for and captured? Is that the reason? We don't need somebody there. We've already got somebody there that'll do everything that we want them to do. Don't run for that seat. That's already taken care of. We've gone to great lengths to get them captured. We'll figure out a way to do it for you next. But you got to wait for 2 years. Been in plenty of those conversations. That happened in Indiana with Bob Thomas. He was going to run for governor, and I call them the Skittles. The Kittle family, Jim Kittle, told him, "No, don't do that. No. There's plenty of qualified people. Don't step up now. We've got this all in place." Pence was stepping down in 2016. Eric Holcomb had been put in, right? He had been inserted as the governor of the state of Indiana. Never held an office before, but they knew that they could trust Eric Holcomb. He would do whatever he was told, and he's part of the WEF. That's why we have the Indiana Economic Forum now, because these motherfuckers are owned at the global level, folks. They're owned. The release of our conversation by Lake confirms a disturbing tendency to exploit private interactions for personal gain and increases concerns about her habit of secretly recording personal and private conversations. Well, let me be real clear here. Over the years, I work in radio and TV, got access to all kinds of recording devices, and over the years, I have secretly recorded people in conversations. Why? Not because I wanted to get them in trouble, but because what they were doing was already trouble. And I needed proof so that before they threw me under the bus, I could say that this is what really happened. That's what Kari Lake has done here. You don't start recording people unless you realize they're fucking corrupt. That's how the game is played. And then you leverage it. What did she say? She kept telling him to step down, step down, step down. He wouldn't step down. They say that she said that because she wanted control of the state party. No, the state party's corrupt. And you needed to step down, sir. You bribed. You bribed a person. You bribed a candidate. And you don't see a problem with that. That's what this letter is about. It's, hey, here, look at this. All the words. Do not believe what she's saying, even though you can hear it with your own ears. You can hear how I bribed her. Don't believe her. She's doing it for personal gain. She gave you 10 months to do the right thing. 10 months. You didn't do it. You did today, though, didn't you? This is obviously a concern given how much interaction she has with high-profile people, including President Trump. I'm going to say it out loud. I think it's important to say out loud, if Trump is doing things illegal against the Constitution, right, and not this bullshit that they've got him on these charges for now, it's real crimes. Like if he decides to go blow somebody up. Isn't that the thing that they're using? That could Trump use the special forces to go kill people in Times Square? He could. They probably wouldn't do it, but he could. Would he be legal? Would it be legal? No, it wouldn't be legal. Murder's illegal. So they always go on these far outside the outlier kind of conversations to try to convince you of their point. But that thing that they're talking about will never happen. Or it's such a rarity that who gives a shit? It's like building a dome over the United States to protect us from all the planes flying into buildings. Happened one time. Well, it happened twice, actually. I guess. 3 times, I guess, if you look at it right. My point is clear. My point is that they're trying to make the outlier the maximum position, the only position, that's where they're arguing from, as opposed to, well, that never happens. That only happens on the third Tuesday of the 4th month of the 6th year of the whatever. Got lost in my time there. He goes on to say, I question how effective a United States senator can be when they can't. Now listen to this. I question how effective a United States senator can be when they cannot be trusted to engage in private and confidential conversations. Those weren't private and confidential conversations. That was a crime. That's evidence of a crime, sir. You bribed a candidate with money to get out of the race. That's illegal. You can't do that. So it doesn't matter if anybody else trusts her. She didn't trust you. That's why she recorded it. That's why I've made the recordings that I've made over the years. You don't want me to record you? Then don't try to lie on me. Don't say things behind closed doors and then say another thing in front of people. Don't do that. Because once I learn that that's who you are, then I record everything that you say. Be a person of your word. Don't be dishonest. Don't be corrupt, and we won't have any problems. She already knew that you were corrupt. That's why she recorded it. That's the only reason to record it. Speaking of which, here's another one, just to give you some context of what's going on here. Let's see here. Let's see if I can do this here.
These people are corrupt.
Well, maybe you're right.
Listen to that. These people are corrupt. Well, maybe you're right. You could be right. But anyway, even if they are, will you take the deal, Kari? Will you take the money, even if they are? Will you take the deal? And this is where you can tell when somebody has character.
They are corrupt.
This is rap. Don't go. You never know. I'll get myself in trouble.
How is he going to get himself in trouble, folks? How is he going to get himself in trouble if he's not doing anything wrong? If he's not doing anything that's illegal, how can he get himself in trouble? Hey, we're just having a conversation here. I've never said that to anybody. I've never said to anyone, hey, I want to have a conversation with you, but first you can't tell anybody. And please, don't let anybody know because it'll get me in trouble. Never had that conversation. Don't need to. Conversations I have, even the ones where I talk about overthrowing the nation, I'm constitutionally protected. There's no conspiracy. I have the right to discuss whether my nation is in trouble and whether it needs a new leadership from the top down and the bottom up. I have the freedom to do that. Well, that's conspiracy. Okay? Do your best. I got the Constitution on my side. I haven't threatened anybody. I haven't done anything. I just said that we need to reevaluate what's going on in this nation. And if you don't think that that's the case, you're childishly naive as to what's going on. They continue.
If you say no, which is fine, it's your choice. Don't tell people.
Don't tell people. Don't tell anyone. He said this twice now. Do not tell anyone. We're just having a conversation here, folks. Just a conversation. Nothing wrong with a conversation, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell anybody what I'm saying to you. Don't tell anyone what I've told you. Because it's just a conversation. I'm just giving you some friendly advice and offering you a lot of money not to stay in a race. Going back to what Jeff DeWitt said. I said things I regret. I'll bet you do. But I realized when hearing Lake's recording that I was set up to bribe her. How were you set up to bribe her, sir? That's the question. How are you set up to bribe her? I believe she orchestrated this entire situation to have control over the state party, and it's obvious from the recording that she crafted her performance responses with the knowledge that she was recording it, intending to use this recording later to portray herself as a hero in her own story. Well, she kind of is. You came there to bribe her from the people back east, the powerful people back east that potentially could kill you and her. She's concerned about it. She says that they'd have to kill her. Well, those are the days we live in, is what he said. It's the times we live in. It's tough out there. Yeah, you might want to do what you need to do. You might want to do what they're saying because it's possible. It's possible. Back to the letter. This morning, I was determined to fight for my position. This morning. Yeah, things have changed. However, a few hours ago, I received an ultimatum from Lake's team. Resign today or face the release of a new, more damaging recording. Just in case you don't know yet, Jeff DeWitt has already resigned. Why? Because there's a more damaging recording out there. And he knows it. He knows the conversations that he's had with Kari Lake. He knows what he said. He knows what he's promised. He knows what he's done. He knows the crimes he's committed. He knows that. That's why he's no longer chair in Arizona. By the way, that recording will still be coming out because it has to show the corruption from top to bottom. That's how the game is played. It doesn't get hidden now. It has to be released so that we all know what this next more damaging piece was. And hopefully it takes a few more pins in the bowling alley down with it. The 6 will drop into the 10 and the 5 will drop into the 4 and they start to destroy each other. That's what we need to see happen in this nation. That's how we're going to get accountability. I am truly unsure of its contents, but considering our numerous past open conversations as friends where I was bribing her, I have decided not to take the risk. So, folks, what could you possibly say in a conversation that is more damaging than the bribe that we've already heard? What else has Jeff DeWitt said, thinking that he had the clearance and the authority and the justification to say it, to do it? What else has he done? What doesn't he want us knowing about? I am resigning as Lake requested in the hope that she will honor her commitment to cease her attacks, allowing me to return to the business sector, a field I find much more logical and prefer over politics. You're a slimeball, sir. That's what you are. You bribed a person. You thought that you could get your way with them, that you could give them some money and they would go shut their mouth and their country is more important. That's what we saw happen. Was she setting herself up? She said several times, you're trying to buy me off. Well, no, not really. Not really. No, we're not really trying to do that. That's not what we're really trying to do. Here's another recording. Listen for yourself.
Yeah, I said I know it's about ownership.
It's about control.
I don't know if it's about control. It's about being on the team.
Here we go.
I guess that's, you know,
They want to be on the team.
they want you to be on their team.
You got to be on their
But
team.
You know?
But if they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that.
Do you hear that? If they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that. I can't be a part of that team. He can. He doesn't have a problem with it. Why? Because he continues to sell. He continues to bribe. Come on, baby. Give me a number that I can work with here. Give me something that I can take back to them.
So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
You want to stay out for 2 years. I'll tell you what I can offer you.
There's the bribe. They want you to stay out for 2 years. Here's what I can offer you. Sound like a normal conversation that you have with your buddies sitting around the fire pit, having a couple beers. These are conversations you have as friendly conversations. I got a bunch of money. They want you to sit out. Here's the offer.
But, I said, you can do whatever you want. It's talking head, this and that.
So he said that you can go back to being a talking head. Travel around the country, do and say whatever you want, and we'll give you a paycheck, but you got to keep your mouth shut about the stuff that we want you to keep your mouth shut about. That's what they're alluding to. Here's the thing, folks. Once they own you, this is the beautiful part. Once they own you, once you've taken the money, you no longer have freedom to be who you are. That's the key. Once they've bribed you and you've partaken in the crime of bribery, You don't have any outs. They've got you captured. That's how this works. Lake was smart.
So the ask of me was, it's kind of funny. So the ask I got today from back east was, hesitate from us. Is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her, to keep her out? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? Like, whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump.
Yep.
And I think that's a bad thing for our country. DeSantis is not America first.
Okay, now keep in mind, DeSantis is out of the race, but this was back in March. So they're talking about DeSantis. They want to move Kari Lake out. They want to remove her from Trump being able to utilize her, and they want to be able to have DeSantis move into that space and kind of fill the vacuum, and she would most likely be forced to go back in and support DeSantis.
This is about the final death blow to Trump.
Yep.
And I don't think that's good for our country.
And you know I love Trump. I love Trump.
It's not good for our country, Jeff.
It's not, but the same.
Okay, I'm going to rewind this a little bit because I want you to understand what she says here. It's not good for our country, Jeff. Yeah, I know, but he's a traitor. He's a Tory. He's not a patriot. He doesn't love Trump. He doesn't even love his nation. He loves his power and his money. Listen to what he says here.
It's not, but at the same time, I'm not even sure Trump can win again.
I don't think we can win.
I don't know that he can win again. I think what it really comes down to for a lot of people, it's not really about like control or agenda. It's just about the ability to raise money to win.
Did you hear that? It's not about Trump. It's not about your rights. It's not about America. It's about the ability to raise money and win. Not moving our agenda forward, not making American life better. That's not what it's about. What it's about is raising money and winning. We don't have to do anything. We just have to win. And people will give us more money to race the next time. We don't have to deliver anything. But as long as we win, they feel like they won something themselves. That's what he's saying here. I've been in these conversations, folks. We don't really have to win. We just have to make people perceive that we're winning. What does that sound like? Sounds like a lie, doesn't it? We're not really winning. We're going to make you believe that we did, but we're not. That's the mentality of our current political class, the managerial class in this nation right now. That's what they think of you. It's all about their pockets, about their money. It's not about you. It's not about making life better for you and your kids. It's about them and theirs. And this is on both the left and the right sides of the aisle. Now, this is where he comes in and starts protecting his ass. Jeff DeWitt writes, I'm a proud supporter of President Trump, having worked diligently as the COO and CFO of his 26th campaign, served in his administration for 2 years, and returned to the COO of the 2020 campaign. Like many Republicans, I am eager to see him return to the White House. He doesn't even think he can win, but he's eager to get him back. But he's going to tear up the team that can help him get there. Did you hear what I just said? He'll destroy Kari Lake. He'll pull her out. He'll remove resources from Trump being able to win, and he still thinks that he's on Trump's side. This is a sales pitch, folks. This is nothing more than covering his ass. Like many Republicans, I am eager to see him return to the White House, bringing back low inflation, a secure border, and economic growth. Sounds like a campaign ad. President Trump is not only a successful businessman, but also a passionate patriot. We have both faced the challenge of dealing with unauthorized recordings. I hadn't even read that part yet. I hadn't gotten to that part yet. That is interesting. You know, somebody recorded stuff on us, and the difference is Trump didn't commit a crime. His was a perfect phone call. Yours was an imperfect house visit. You came to Kari Lake's house, and you bribed her, sir. We heard it. There's no context. It's not out of context. It's not out of place. You're a scumbag. Trying to say that he's on the same level as Trump. Listen again. We have both faced the challenge of dealing with unauthorized recordings, a situation no one should endure. While I have occasionally critiqued some of his endorsements, my admiration for his character has never faltered. My dedication remains with Arizona Republicans, our commendable elected officials, and candidates who are champions of freedom, except for the candidates that he's advocating, bribing to step down. It's not your time. Joe over here is going to run, or we've got other plans. It's not your time now. I've been in plenty of those conversations. Seen the candidate wilt as the party looked down on them and put their hand on their shoulder and said, today's not your day. We're gonna have somebody else run in that position, and we'll give you support in 2 years. Don't do anything stupid in the next 2 years. Don't piss us off in the next 2 years. And when it's time, we'll give you your place. That's how the game is played. That's why Trump, Lake, and others, those who are running for these positions that didn't start out as the dog catcher, that didn't start out as the chief trash compactor, that didn't start out as a city councilman, that didn't work their way up through the ranks, that isn't owned. They don't want those people in. They don't want a person like me. You can't own me. There's nothing you have I want. The only thing I want is the restoration of my nation. That's what I want. I want my nation back. There's no price you can pay me for that. I'll take your money, and then I'll play the recording, and we'll take the money and we'll put it into use. We'll give it to charities. That's what I would do with $20, $30, $40 million, because that's what it would take to even have me look at something like that. And then I'll turn on you. I'll record the whole thing, and you'll go to jail. Because that's what the right thing to do is. That's what Kari Lake did here. She should have taken this to the FBI immediately. My dedication remains with Arizona Republicans, our commendable elected officials and candidates who are champions of freedom, as well as my friends in the Trump campaign, united in our goal to reclaim the White House. He's done. He'll never see the inside of a Trump White House, ever. Why? Well, because he's a scumbag, and he can't be trusted. And he sided with the other side. He sided with the people who aren't siding with the Constitution. That's who he sided with. Our party's focus should be unity, integrity. Well, you've already lost the integrity part, and you've lost the unity. You split it down the middle. There's two groups of people in every party, the corrupt and the uncorrupt. That's it. If you're part of the corrupt, there's no unity. Our party's focus should be unity. I agree, Jeff. It should be. Our party's focus should be unity, integrity, and the selection of candidates who can truly lead and represent our values. Who are they, Jeff? If you'll bribe people and you're trying to get good candidates out to get your candidates in, and you're bribing people to do so, what kind of candidate are we talking about here? We know exactly what kind of candidates we're talking about here. We're talking about candidates that we see on a daily basis that are owned. They get to D.C., they get to the state capitol, they get to City Hall, and you can't trust them because they're owned. Somebody knows that they like little boys, or they like little girls, or they killed a woman, and it was hidden up, it was covered. That's what they like. Because they know that they can run you. We are weakened by internal strife, underhanded tactics, and the erosion of trust. There we agree. We don't trust politicians, especially those politicians in high places that took a job that is the equivalent of working 2 full-time jobs and not getting paid for it. There's got to be something else on the other side. And it's not your patriotism. If it was your, if it was your patriotism, we wouldn't have a problem here. But you sold out your nation. You sold out your party for money, for shekels. As someone who has dedicated countless unpaid hours, here we go again. As someone who has dedicated countless unpaid hours to this cause, I hope that every future party chairman is as committed to steering our party towards a future that embodies our core principles of unity, respect, and professionalism. Professionals don't bribe somebody. You see, if you'd advised her, if you had just said, hey, listen, there's a group of people back east that they really don't want you running. And it'd be in your best interest if you just step down for the next 2 years. They don't have anything to offer, but when it's time to run for you, they will give you the full support that you need in 2 years. But right now is not the right time. That's not what he did. The first thing out of his mouth is, they're going to put their money where their mouth is. They're going to give you cash. They're going to make you rich. Here's another one. Listen to this. Same thing.
Yeah, all these consultants don't want their payday to end. And I don't want to make a deal with these kind of people. This is a hill worth dying on.
Yep, I agree.
I'm not, if they're going to steal the election to make me and our movement go away.
By the way, she says this twice. This is said twice in this conversation, that they stole the election. The Arizona GOP chair, even he says the 2020 election was stolen. It was rigged. She mentions it here. He just blows past it like it's nothing.
I'm not letting him do that. I owe it to the people of Arizona
Or
to carry their torch and their voice.
Or you don't go away.
Or no, I'm trying to sell you. So don't get that mindset. Don't do that. Don't go there. Or you don't go away. We allow you to still speak and stuff, but you're just not in politics.
But you pause.
This is the battles right now, Jeff.
We just pause. And what is she saying? The battle is right now. Israel's on fire. Ukraine's on fire. China's talking about going into Taiwan. NATO is worried that Putin's going to expand the war. All these things are going on at the same time. The battle is right now. Today. If you don't see that, if you don't realize that we're in serious trouble in this nation, and it's going to take more people like Kari Lake and others to stand up and do the right thing, take the slings and the arrows, take the attacks, because that's what will happen next. They'll go after her for everything that they can. They will throw all the resources of the RNC and the federal government that Mitch McConnell and his groups have access to. They will throw all of that at Kari Lake. That's what they do. It's no different than the playground, folks. This is what they would do on the playground when we were kids. They just make it difficult for you. Everybody in the school decides that you're the bad guy, so they put your shoulder into yours. You're walking down the hall. They knock your books out of your hands. Nothing's changed. It's the same exact concept, just a much larger scale.
And refill your coffers.
No, the battle is right now. The battle is right now, and we don't have time to pause on this battlefield.
I agree. There's no time to pause in the battlefield because we're at war. This is a brand new kind of war, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the war that we grew up with. It's not World War II. It's not Vietnam. It's not even what's been going on in the Middle East our entire lives. This one is completely different. This war is for the heart and soul of our nation. And we've got people that are saying, we got to tear everything down. We got to rip up the Constitution. We got to get rid of the Electoral College. You don't have any rights. Yuval Harari saying that rights are a myth. They don't exist. We don't have any rights? So if I come and punch you in the mouth, Yuval, no, I'm not going to get arrested? You don't have the right not to be accosted? No, they don't think that way. They say this stuff, but that's not what they think. That's not how they act. Last paragraph. In closing, my actions will always reflect what's best for Arizona Republicans, our commendable elected officials, and our mission to reclaim the White House. So his actions, that's what it was meant to do. Kari Lake said very clearly that the attack on her, this request of her, is to attack Trump, to remove power from Trump, to remove a base from Trump, to remove support. They don't want her in the Senate being a Matt Gaetz or a Marjorie Taylor Greene standing up to Mitch McConnell. That's not what they want. How do you know? Because she's already told you what's going to happen. She's already told you that she is not going to scratch backs.
It's a back scratching club. That's all DC is. It's a big back scratching club. You're in no position to scratch anybody's back, and you've already made it known that if you get there, you're not going to scratch anybody's back. I don't scratch people's back. You know, I've been on the outs with a lot of people for a long time because I don't scratch backs. You know?
What? You're there bribing someone for the establishment, you fucking hack. You don't scratch backs? You're not a back scratcher? You're the biggest back scratcher. You're doing the legwork for the people who don't want to do it. They know that what you're doing is a crime. They know that what you're doing is illegal. That's why they didn't do it. They sent their lackey, the pool boy that would go do it because he wants to get into the big house. He wants to be allowed to party with the big people. He doesn't realize that he's already owned.
Where are we in 2 years if they steal the election again?
What did he say? Let's go back and get that one more time. What did he say again?
If they steal the election again.
What did he say?
Where are we in 2 years if they steal the election again?
If they steal the election again. This is the Arizona GOP chair confirming that the election was rigged in 2020. That the election was rigged in 2022 against Kari Lake in the Katie Hobbs head-to-head. They're telling you up front, folks. These are the officials. This is the people behind the room. I've been in these meetings. I've been in these get-togethers where everybody thinks that they're talking to their friendly neighbor, and they don't realize is that inside the Republican Party, there's MAGA, and then there's the Tories. That's what it's come down to. There's no other way to put it. To have full context, there's people you can trust and people that you can't. People that are for America and people that aren't. People that will do whatever it takes to get our nation back on track, and those who will do everything that they can to do just the opposite. Look at what's happening down south. How many Republicans have come out and screamed and yelled about the federal government, the Joe Biden administration, going to court to open up the fucking border? They're silent because they're owned. Doesn't affect me. Moving on. Doesn't affect me. It's okay. Not going to do it. They continue.
Listen to what you're saying. Why don't we do something about it? So that we the people can pick our...
What can we do?
What can we do? Folks, what can we do? Oh, it's so lost. What can we do? This is the Arizona GOP chair saying, what can we do to save her? She's trying to say as an outsider, let's save our nation. And what's his response? What can we do? What is there that we can do? Well, you can start with not bribing people, asshat.
I'm not willing to accept that. And I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's. Go back and tell them that.
Yep.
I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their.
I'm willing to tell them that.
And they're going to have to kill me to stop me.
I know. Look.
Either they come around and try to work with me, or I'm just going to.
There we go. Come around and work with me. And the first thing, that's his in. In sales, this is called an in, right? They've opened themselves up. They've given you an in to get what you want. Okay, what would that entail? What would that look like? If you decided to play ball with us, what would that look like, Kari?
That would entail not telling, layman's telling me, you got to distance yourself from Trump. No, you distance yourself from DeSantis.
He's all butthurt about that.
But what I'm saying is, don't tell people that. I'm with Trump, okay? I want to work for the betterment of Arizona. I'm not going to let these people back in D.C. tell me not to run. I'm not going to pause for 2 years. The battle is now. I'm offended by whoever these people are that they're trying to buy me out of.
Well, you should be honored.
Listen to this. This is what small-minded people, this is how small-minded people think. I'm lucky, folks. In my career, I learned, I was, how do I put this the right way? I grew up in a small town where my dad was a football hero. So I was Butch's son. Everybody knew me, right? I've always had access to everything. I've always been backstage my entire life. My dad later on, he became a minister, and well, I was a minister my entire life, but he was a minister where we went to the biggest churches in the country. I was backstage at these churches and realized that they had as many problems in these churches as politics have. Organized religion is no different than politics. Some may differ with me on that, but unless you're a preacher's kid, you have no fucking idea what the fuck you're talking about. At a very young age, I got to see and learn who was fucking around with who. What preacher was having an affair with what choir leader? What preacher took off with all the money in the church? What preacher was diddling the little boys and the little girls in Sunday school? Yeah, all that shit happened. It all happens in church. My dad was one of those guys. He was the cleaner. He came in and made it public, got the person rooted out, and if there was illegal activity, they turned him into the law. That's what they used to do. That's what my dad's job was. Go to small churches where they were having problems. He was the solution. That's what Kari Lake is doing. Same exact thing here. They're telling you that you should be honored that you're being bribed. When I went into radio and TV, I've partied with Metallica, Aerosmith. I've been backstage with Phil Collins, all the 80s and 90s and 2000s. I was there for all of it. Janet Jackson, been to her house. I've had a lot of fucking fun in my life. But one thing that it taught me is, you can't do this one to me. You should be honored that Janet Jackson wants you to do something. Why? That's not an honor to me. We're going to bribe you, and you should be honored that we're bribing you. That's what he's saying here. That's the mentality of these people. That's why it's time. Our nation is so fucking corrupt from top to bottom. This is not one of these standalone events that it just happens from time to time. It happens every fucking day. In every level of government, this shit is going on. I'll move off the subject for just a moment to tell you a quick story. In Indianapolis, back in, this is probably 06, 07, I got a phone call from a prestigious lawyer in town that had a client that had been accused of molesting a 5-year-old boy. This client was a billionaire and was given the opportunity of presenting his case to the DA, the prosecuting attorney, before he was ever indicted. And so my role was to figure out if we could come up with a creative way of showing his innocence. To give the, doubt, right? I had to instill doubt was my job. We did. He got off. Now, with that being said, based on what the affidavit was and the work that we did, it's clear that this man did not do what he said that was claimed that he did. Impossible. From the affidavit alone, could not have happened. So I feel good about what happened. But I would have gotten that opportunity. You wouldn't have gotten that opportunity. No, we would have been charged, indicted, and convicted without the opportunity of ever having a meeting with the DA to say, hey, listen, this didn't happen. It would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to go defend yourself. That's the corruption of the system. He got the benefit of being a billionaire. And now here's the kicker. This is where I really learned that money, there's only one color that matters. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. You got green, you play in the game. That's the way it is. Doesn't matter who you are. You got money, they'll let you play in the game. Continues.
But I'm offended that there's people back there who just don't get about our country.
Do you understand, though? You should be honored. That means they know how powerful you are.
You're so powerful. I'm going to blow smoke and rainbows and sunshine up your ass right now. And I want you to understand that these are powerful people. And they think that you're powerful too, and they would like to help you. Please do this, please. That's what they're saying here. They got caught, folks, again. The liars, the cheat, the corrupt, they got caught again with their pants down.
Well, I can tell them
if
that.
If you weren't powerful, they wouldn't want to have this conversation.
There's some sign shut up your butthole.
Right? You should be. Very few people get this.
I know.
Very few people get this. You're so. This is called in the sales game. This is called there's a term for it. You're qualifying somebody, making them feel special about what's going on and what you're doing. You qualify somebody. I don't know if you're going to qualify for this program, sir. Let me check for a moment. Oh, I hope I qualify. I'd like to qualify. Well, you may or may not. And if you don't, I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to purchase this. Well, I hope I qualify. That's the same thing being done here. They think you're so special. Now, in the previous clip, what did they say to her? It's a back-scratching town, and you don't have anything to scratch with. There's nothing that you offer. And now he's done a complete 180 and saying, well, you're so special, you're so powerful. This is why they're doing this. You should be honored that they would bribe you.
That they don't care more about our country. It's all about the mighty dollar to them. And that's offensive.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
They want to get Trump so bad. They want him out so bad.
It's not about Trump. This isn't about Trump. It's about you.
This isn't about Trump. It's about you. It's about you. We're here bribing you. We'll get Trump later. We'll try to get him later. And he won't take the bribes either. So we're going to have to put him through the ringer. That's how it's done, folks. I'm not lying to you. I'm not leading you down the primrose path. I'm telling you exactly how it's done. I've been in the rooms when these conversations are happening. I've been there watching somebody's soul ripped out of their body. They've waited their entire lives to run for this office. They're ready. They're prepared. They can see it. Somebody in the party comes through and says, it's not your time. My buddy's going to run for that office, and he's been waiting just as long as you have, and he's got a lot of support, and he'd like to really do this. So if you give us 2 to 4 to 6 years, we'll make it your time when it's your time. But today isn't that time. And if you run against us, we will destroy you. Been in the meetings where that happens, folks. Watched people leave a meeting crying because they were told, no, you can't run. That's the equivalent of on the playground, Red Rover, and nobody ever calls you over, right? You never get picked for the team. They've already picked the team before you even got to the field. They just wanted you there as a cheerleader. Let's go to the next video. Next video is, this is, I think, interesting as well.
Just to say.
Listen to this.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought.
Not be bought.
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple.
Take a pause for a couple of years and we'll make it worth your while. Is there an amount? Is there an amount? What did Kari Lake say there? She knows what's happening here. She's not stupid. She fully understands what's going on. You'd have to be a moron not to realize what's happening. This is a bribe, folks. As I put on the header here, it's the anatomy of a bribe. It's how it happens. It's how, I'm not bribing you. I'm not bribing you. You're not being bribed. This is just a friendly conversation where I'm offering you a lot of money and you can have anything you want as long as you do what we say.
No.
And they go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country.
Amen. That right there is the truest words, folks. I don't know how you feel about it, but it gives me chills to think that somebody else is out there feeling the same way that I am. That somebody is willing to give it all. That they're willing to throw it all. Because if we don't have freedom, it doesn't matter how much money I have. They'll just take it one day. If we don't have freedom, if we don't have liberty, I don't have anything. Because everything that I'm sitting on, the foundation that this nation is built on, is sand. It's not real. It'll collapse. That's why we got to have a solid foundation of freedom and liberty, the ability to speak freely, not be censored. The ability to call somebody who's crazy without being canceled. Listen, if you want to shit in a box and call yourself a cat, knock yourself out, but I ain't going along with that bullshit. That's honesty, objective truth. We're in a world of hurt, folks. We're in a world of hurt because these people will not stop until they have taken everything that you have. Klaus Schwab is famous for saying that you'll own nothing and be happy. That's the future that they have for you. We're going to have everything, you'll have nothing, and you'll keep your fucking pie hole shut. That's what they're trying to tell you. Let's play this. Let's play this. We got two more pieces here, right? Yeah, we got two more. Let's play this next one here, and listen, because he ramps it up. He continues to talk about. The bribe. He wants to get her to commit, because as soon as she commits, as soon as she says yes, I'll do that, she's complicit in the bribe, and now she can't ever say anything because what she's done is illegal too. That's what they're trying to capture her with. We got you. You took the bribe. You took our money. You can't say anything now. You'll be in just as much trouble as we are.
I am not going to let these people who hate our country tell me not to run. You should call them and tell them to get behind me.
I mean,
I can win, and they should get behind me.
I will happily say those words.
Yeah.
Do you think my words will carry any weight? No.
Okay, well, did you think you would come in here and that I would be bought?
It's not being bought.
Yes, it is.
It's, I think, what
It is being bought.
She knows when she's being bribed. I know when I'm being bribed. You know when you're being bribed. So when you're being bribed and you say, hey, listen, I'm being bribed, and they continue to sell, they know that they're bribing as well. This is the situation our nation is in, folks, and it's everywhere. This isn't just in Arizona, and it's not just at this level. It's everywhere. Every city, every state, every county, every precinct, they're all corrupt. Very few are doing the right thing. In Boone County, Indiana, for example, there's a group that are trying to get back to one-day voting and paper ballots. That's what they want to get back to. They're not going to be able to get their one-day voting thing immediately, but the paper ballots, they're trying to get back to. And they've said, hey, listen, we'll even find the people. It won't cost the state or the county anything. We'll count it. We'll come in and do what we need to do. I was just in Davenport and saw the entire thing. They counted the entire caucus within 10 minutes. All on pieces of paper, thrown into a paper bag, counted, tallied up, and given off to the precinct captain and go to the next person. Didn't need any didn't need tabulators, didn't need fancy computers or machines, just pieces of paper. That's all it was. So simple. But Boone County says, no, you can't have that. We've got to have our, because what are we going to do? We get all this federal money, and if we do what you want, we won't get the federal money anymore. And the question is, well, what were we doing before the federal money? What were we doing before the counting machines, before the computers? What were we doing before then? We had free and fair elections. Was there cheating? Was there rigging? Yeah, but not at the scale there is now. What just happened in Georgia? The guy opened a machine, a Dominion machine, with a pen that he borrowed from somebody. It wasn't even a special pen that he designed. He took the pen, opened up the case, turned the system on, got it into safe mode, and then started changing votes right in front of the judge. That happened. Doesn't matter what the Democrats say. It's an objective truth. It happened. That's why they're scared. That's why they're putting this big push. That's why they're going after Kari Lake. That's why they want this system shut down, because they know that once we regain control, and those of us that are constitutionalists, we go back to the original playground rules and say, hey, listen, you've been breaking the rules, and this is the price you've got to pay. They don't want to pay the price. And that's why there's a full court press against Trump, Kari Lake, and other MAGA candidates that want their nation changed, that want their nation back, that want a constitutional government and not this fucking socialist bullshit that we have right now, where one person makes the decision for the entire nation. Kramer, that's not happening. It just happened with the Supreme Court. They went against the Constitution. Texas has the state rights to protect their borders. The federal government isn't the end-all be-all. It's not the law of the land. People like to say that, but that's not true, because it's nowhere in the Constitution. It doesn't say that federal law is the law of the land. It's time for you to realize that they aren't coming to help you. There's no white hats. There's no queue. There's no soldiers coming over the rise in the morning, riding in on horseback to save you. There's no knights in shining armor. It's you. It's us. The system that's corrupt, the system that I'm showcasing to you, is this dude right here. Where is it? I'm going to get it. There we go. There we go. I'll get it eventually. There we go. This dude, is this dude over here, is he going to be a part of the solution? We're going to have free and fair elections, and then this dude is going to make sure that everything happens right and that your rights, somebody stands up for your rights? He can't. He's already owned. He's a criminal. He's corrupt. He bribed a candidate, folks. I've asked the question a lot here recently, and I'll say it very, very plainly. When we had problems with the British government back in the 1770s, and we went to the British government and said, hey, listen, as our government, because that's what they were, we were colonies of the British government. We were British citizens at that point. We went to the government locally and said, hey, listen, can you guys get this taken care of? King George is doing this. He's putting, weirdest thing, he's putting soldiers in our homes, and we don't want them there. Can't we just build some barracks? Nope. You're a troublemaker, aren't you? Hey, I want to be able to speak freely. You think you could talk to the king so that I can say some stuff about the king that he probably won't like? Is that possible? Could you do that for me? What'd the government do? Nope. They turned him in. Said that's a rabble-rouser. He's a hooligan. We really don't want to pay this tax. We'd prefer not to pay this tax on this tea. Can you talk to the king for us? And what did the government of the time do? Did they answer to the people? They did not. So the question I have to ask is this. What is the difference between a tyrannical, oppressive government based in London and a tyrannical, oppressive government based in D.C. or your state capital or your city hall? What's the difference? Folks, there is no difference. It's all the same. And the moment that you realize is that, well, we were never Americans when we fought the Revolutionary War. We were British citizens that stood up to our government. It was a civil war. That's how it started. They like to call it a revolution so you don't understand the dynamics of it. But it was a civil war against our own nation. We said enough is enough. The people today are doing the exact same things. They're telling the exact same lies. Go back and read the newspapers of the day, folks. Read what they were saying. What was Ben Franklin saying? What were the Federalists saying? What were they printing? If you don't know what they were saying back then and why they were saying it and what it led to, then you don't realize where we are right now today. What's happening in Colorado with Trump being taken off the ballot? What's going on at the border? It's a repeat, folks. We've done this before. We've been here before. And nothing changes until you get involved. Nothing changes. Here's the remainder of this piece.
They are trying to buy me out of running.
What I think is this. is it can give you an incredible opportunity to have a bigger voice.
We'll make you a star, kid. We'll give you anything you want, but you got to step down for us. You can't be in this fight this time. It's not your time.
To fight for stuff than you currently do.
Yeah.
You can't fight for what you want to fight for if they own you. I don't take any money for any of the stuff that I do. I'm free and fair. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. That's why I cuss. A lot of people go, why do you cuss? Because I can. Nobody's telling me that I got to be nice so the little old ladies like what I'm saying. I don't give a shit. What I'm saying is truth. And every once in a while I get pissed off and emotional about it. I get passionate about it because our nation's in trouble. And some people are telling me that, Kramer, you shouldn't cuss. Your message might cut through a little bit better. More people would listen. I don't need everybody to listen. I need the right people to hear it. That's why I'll be headed to Texas, going to the border, Eagle Pass. We'll be taking off with the caravan here in the next few days. Because I'm going to be a part of what happens. I'm not going to sit back and say nothing's ever going to happen. Nobody's ever going to do anything. Why? Because it's not their responsibility to ensure my freedoms. It's mine. It's my responsibility to ensure my freedoms. It's not some white hat. It's not some military person. It's my responsibility to ensure that my freedoms are kept intact. That's why they're called individual freedoms. They're mine individually. And I have to stand for them. Just like I had to stand on the playground when the bully came up. Nobody else stood up and was willing to take my beating for me. No teacher came up and said, hey, listen, I'm going to take the first couple punches, but you owe me something. Nobody did that. I had to stand up for myself. There's no difference today, folks. It's we the people. It's always been we the people. It's never going to change from being we the people as long as we're the United States of America. We run this nation. It's ours. The governors, the senators, the presidents, everybody, they work for us. They're our employees. We have no responsibility to coddle them. They have no authority that we don't give them. That's why they're scared. Because for far too long, they've convinced the American electorate that they're in charge. They're not. Their authority is on loan.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with people like this.
Amen.
These people are un-American, and I think they're unethical, and I would be absolutely immoral if I did that.
Yep.
Again,
It's refreshing, isn't it?
That's immoral. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I, you know.
it's very powerful people
Oh,
that
there's
are
the
willing
threat.
they really want something.
These very powerful people, they really want something different. You better play ball, because if you don't, they'll come after you. These are the subtle threats, folks. Again, I've been in the room when this is done. It's disgusting to watch a young man who thought he had his path lined out, got out of law school. He's done everything. He's jumped through all the hoops that they've asked him to jump through, and now he wants to run for office, and they go, nope, not your time, son. You don't get to do that. So I'm in the hallway of the State House crying because he thought it was his time, and they stripped it from him and told him, no. The people who run everything, they're going to tell you what's going to be and what's not going to be. And right now, you're not going to be. I think this last piece is the most compelling.
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
No.
these people don't want to, they don't want,
And then I turn my key in my car and I just, I like my car.
tell them I'm not flattered. I'm offended that
Don't
they.
tell anybody.
So let's go back. I want to play that part again. Let's go back. I think this is interesting. What did he say here?
You should go public with this and then say, hey,
No.
these people don't want to, they don't want,
And then I
they're.
turn my key in my car and I just,
He's saying that if he does this, if he goes public, they'll kill him. They'll blow him up. They'll assassinate him. They'll get rid of him. That's what an Arizona GOP chair is saying about the people involved that he's talking to. That if he goes public, they'll fucking kill him. That's why we've been talking about Trump and the potential assassination of Trump. That's the biggest fear. They did it in '63, didn't have a problem back then. What would be the problem today? Just more cameras. They'll blame it on Muslims, some extremists, some crazy. They've always got a plan, but we can see it coming. And what our answer should be right now, and we should be saying it very loudly on the playground, you kill Trump, count your days. You rig the election, count your days. We don't have a free and fair election, count your days. Your authority is only yours because we've loaned it to you. It doesn't belong to you. We can nullify your position at our will. The playground rules apply here, folks. This is my part. This is my part of the playground. Stay the fuck off of it. I'm not going to come bother you. I don't want to come over to your place and tell you what you have to do on your playground. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want on the playground, but this is my part of the playground. And do not come over here and tell me how to play the game. Don't tell me how I have to play by your rules. We're done. I've been saying it for a long time. You want it? Come get it. You want it? Come get it. Well, that sounds like a threat. That's not a threat. That's a warning.
I like my fight. Tell them I'm not flattered. I'm offended that they...
Don't tell anybody we had this conversation.
I'm offended.
Again, the third time. Don't tell anybody what we've talked about here. It'll make it harder to do the next time. It should be hard. Bribery should be hard. Committing a crime, it should make you feel bad. It doesn't. Hey, don't tell anybody about this. Hey, Kari, this is your and I secret, right? Just you and me, baby. Nobody else. Keep your mouth shut. This is the bravest thing that I've seen in a long time from any American. What Trump is doing is hard. What Gates was doing was hard. When he went through what Snowden has done and the others, Julian Assange, what they've done, the things that they've done to inform us of what's going on, they've paid the price, folks. Kari Lake will also pay a price for this. They'll never forgive her. Because this isn't the DNC doing this. This is the RNC. These are the Republicans doing this to Kari Lake, doing it to us, doing it to the constituents of Arizona. It's exactly what the DNC is going to do with Biden. They don't have any options, folks. It's going to have to be somebody else. They're not going to run Biden against Trump. He's too powerful. Let's wrap this up. Last part.
Offended that they don't care about our country more.
I actually wish you'd just give me a counteroffer that's big.
That's it right there. She has told him in no uncertain terms she cannot be bought. She thinks it's un-American, unethical, immoral, and he doesn't have a problem with it. He's fine with it. Okay. But how will you make an offer so at least I can take an offer back to them? Will you give me something that they can chew on? I don't care how big it is. Just give me an offer, Kari.
Give me a counter.
I can't be bought.
Come on.
I can't.
All right, I'll see you.
Okay, bye-bye.
That's the situation that we're in, folks. This is where we are. And if you don't understand it, if you don't realize that it's not going to get any better, it's only going to get a lot worse. And that the role that you play is being an American patriot. If you're expecting our elected officials to be the solution, you're not taking a look at history. History shows us they're not the solution. They weren't the solution in 1776. They're not the solution today. It's time for you to start getting your head straightened up, keep it on a swivel, an eye on your six, stay frosty, all the things that are said. Because what we've been talking about for the last few months, and we kept saying you've got 60 to 90 days, we're at 30 days. That's it. Whatever's going to happen is most likely to happen within days, not weeks, not months, days. They can't continue this. Nikki Haley's going to drop out. She's going to have to. The donors won't continue this. They're going to try. The big money people will. They don't care. They've got billions. Throwing a couple $100 million at this doesn't matter. This continues. This fight continues. But it doesn't end until you get involved. I keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, and I don't think people are paying attention. You've got to start letting the bullies on the playground know that come November, if we the people don't agree with how things were run, I mean, think about it. They just did polling coming out of New Hampshire. 60% of the overall voters think that the 2020 election was rigged and that Donald Trump is being politically attacked. That's why all these cases, it's all political. 60%. 80% of Republicans think that the 2020 election was completely rigged. That's new polling. You can't have a situation where more than half the nation thinks that the system is corrupt. It doesn't last long. We can nip this in the bud right now. We can stop it right now. But what it's going to take is it's going to take American citizens getting off their asses and getting into the streets and getting into the faces of the Republican and the Democrat elected officials and telling them that their days are numbered. That we're tired of this. We're tired of working 60, 70 hours a week and feeling like we can't get ahead. Why? Because they're inside trading. They're letting the borders remain open. They're living a great life. They can do all the insider trading that they want. They can make as much money as they want. A D.C. colleague of mine told me, he goes, that's the secret of D.C. That's how these people get there and make their money. They never trade like that, but their wives will. Their uncles will. That's how they make their money, is they get inside information and then go trade it, just like Nancy Pelosi does. She's not the only one, by the way. That's a Republican and Democrat thing. It's bullshit. It's disgusting. It's a crime for me, but you get to do it? Bullshit. Folks, what we've seen from Kari Lake here, hopefully you realize that our nation is not going to be fixed by allowing the people currently in power to stay in power, and that's at all levels. The RNC is corrupt. The DNC is corrupt. They can't be fixed from the inside. We can't put new people, new gears into the machine and expect these new gears to react any differently than the old gears did, because once they're locked in, they're locked in. Ain't nothing happening. That's what the problem has been. That's why so many in D.C. are so fearful of a Trump return. He's saying that on day one, 30 to 75% of all public employees gone at the federal level. Boom, gone. Millions fired in one day. They're not going to allow that to happen. And you better get ready for what they're about to do to make sure it doesn't happen. And then, when it does happen, here's the thing, folks. You better get off your fucking asses. Stop using this excuse, well, if we do anything, they'll use it as an excuse to martial law. Martial law is a suspension of the Constitution. And as soon as the motherfucker, I don't care who they are in the White House, suspends the Constitution, then there's no fucking rules. We make them up as we go. We don't have to abide by shit, because all laws are null and void if habeas corpus has been suspended. Don't you get it? They're telling you what you're going to do, and you're afraid of it. The moment that they suspend the Constitution and go to martial law, we're done. They have no authority. The only authority they have is under the Constitution. Abe Lincoln did it, it was wrong. If they do it now, it's wrong. It's time for you to understand the rules of the game. Why do you think I'm so upset? Why do you think I'm so passionate? Because I know how the game's supposed to be played, and they're not playing by the rules. They're cheating. And they're telling you to keep your fucking mouth shut. They're telling you that you can't say certain things and you can't go certain places because of what you believe or what you saw or what you think is right or wrong. And if you don't understand that it's only going to get worse before it gets better unless you get involved, if you don't understand that, well, you're going to have a terrible experience. Your life is going to be terrible. You'll wonder why you can't dig yourself out. And all you have to do is stop and say no. Just like you did on the playground when you were a kid. When you said, I'm not playing the game anymore. I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'm done. All you have to do is do that. It doesn't take a lot, folks, except for courage and a backbone. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. We'll be back tomorrow or as soon as we can. We'll see you then.
You're watching
CramerSez. CramerSez is everywhere.
Twitter, Truth, Instagram,
And always on America's fastest growing free speech platform.
CramerSez Social.
Make your free account today
At CramerSez.com.
CramerSez.com. America's political prisoners need our help.
CramerSez is on a mission to raise $100,000 or more.
Can you help? Join our mission today.
At CramerSez.shop.